Hi everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters, and today we're going to be doing part 2 of our build on North Africa. Today we're going to be building the 8-ton Halftrack from Dragon, and this is to go along with the 15-centimeter German field howitzer from Trumpeter that we built last week. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to all my subscribers. We're pushing 7,000 right now, which I think is phenomenal, especially for the short time that we've been on here. I really do appreciate all your support, and let's get started on the build. Okay, now we're going to paint the entire model with XF67 NATO Black. This is actually not a primer at all. This is actually just going to be our shadow coat. I get a lot of questions all the time of people saying, why don't you use primer? And honestly, I've never felt the need to use primer. The paint sticks fine to it, and we're not neutralizing another color underneath that's, you know, different from anything else. So primer, if you want to use it, go ahead, but I've never had the necessity to use it. We're going to give it a complete coat of NATO Black, trying to get into all the little nooks and crannies the best we can. And what will happen is when we go to put the second coat of the XF59 Desert Sand on it, it'll give some shadow and effects as if the paint is starting to wear and it's a little bit darker and shadowy in the corners of the model. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've painted the seats like a leatherish brown color. I also painted the gasket that goes around the engine cowl and touched up the wheels a little bit with some NATO Black, as well as repainting with some German gray, the circle right here, because that is where the Africa Corps symbol is going to go. And you don't have to worry about too much about getting the black perfect down here. If you get a little bit overspray, or excuse me, I actually used a paintbrush on that, so if you get a little bit over on, once we put the couple of coats of dust on it, that'll hide quite a bit of anything that's going on down there. Same thing with down here. I put a little extra black on just so it'll pop a little bit more once we do finish putting the dust coat on. I've also masked off the windshield, so we've painted all the edges on that. We'll peel that off in a little while. I also put the circle back here as well, and on the other side as well. And that, like I said, that'll be for all the decal work we do in a little while. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to spray the entire model with a flat coat made out of lacquer. And what that's going to do, that's going to seal the entire model in so we can do all of our weathering over it. Once we do that, we'll go ahead and do the decals and then do any other the weathering on it. So let's get started on that. Okay, we've got the clear coat on now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the NATO black, and instead of doing the hairspray technique that we did on the other gun, because we broke off so many pieces, especially since there's a lot of little grab handles, things like that, we're just going to do the dry brushing to beat up the kit. And the hairspray works really, really well, but more so on like a tank that you're not going to worry about breaking off so many small parts, which we're going to try to make it look to match that, because remember, those are the same color paint, but after we put all the dust and stuff on it, you'll blend them all together. So let's start off with the dry brushing. We're gonna, like I said, use the NATO black, this one right here. And the dry brushing we're gonna do is just slightly dipping the brush in and then taking as much as possible off the brush to the point where it's getting like that. Then you're gonna just start slightly going over the high edges, and hopefully you can see that as well here, that it starts to make it look like paint chips. And these vehicles went to North Africa, usually painted German gray, and when they got there they just sprayed them with like a desert color. That unfortunately didn't last very long, especially in the sandblasting that was North Africa. And now this step right here is totally up to you too, how beat up you want to make the vehicle. You can make it look as if it's just got into combat and doesn't have much on it, or you can make it look like it's been in for 6 months to a year and really beat up. But there again, that's strictly up to the end user, and just have fun with it. So let's go ahead and finish that off now. Okay, I put the last of the parts on here. I put the indicator marks on the side and put the lenses on the front glass, as well as I also took some Value Gear product and took some boxes and things and painted them up individually. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take some XF57 buff and lightly, in fact I'm going to pull the camera back here a little bit to show you that when we go lightly on this, we want to go from about almost a foot away from the thing, and then just lightly start misting over the entire thing. Well, I finished up doing the last little bits of weathering on here. Put a little bit of the Vallejo dust on the kit just to kind of lighten it down a little bit more. One thing I want to point out to you about both of these kits are probably not for the very beginner modeler. This kit right here is about 500 parts. The howitzer gun has a ton of little tiny parts, so it too might be a little difficult if you're just starting off. It's not impossible. It's just a lot of little parts that you're going to be spending a lot of time, putting on. But overall, they're beautiful kits. Two of the nicest on the market, I would have to say. Like I said, just a lot of parts, so just be aware that if you do get something like that, that you are going to be spending a little bit of time working on those. I appreciate you watching our build. I'm also actually thinking about building a diorama with this. I've got a few ideas in mind. Nothing solid for sure yet, but possibly so with that and the other North African vehicle we built. So please stay tuned for more of our videos coming up. Thanks.